This is my audience of 5 people. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. My name is Sophia Sofranak, and I will be presenting a speech today on red mangroves, which may sound kind of boring at first, but they're actually very fascinating plants, so sit tight. Jeff, will you hold that phone, please?
Right, yeah.
Okay. We live in the Florida Keys. Red mangroves are actually an incredibly important plant for us to survive tropical storms, huge winds, waves. They serve as a huge buffer because they grow in the salt water on coastal regions all around the United States. They take over coastal regions on the Gulf side as well as the Atlantic side. They protect us from these storms, but not only that, but they also create an entire habitat for young fish who are trying to avoid huge predators. Now, how do these plants help fish avoid predators? Well, red mangroves, which are scientifically called Rhizophora Mangle, actually grow in this strange way, very, very tight, densely together. Their roots are protruding from the water, therefore their deep mud roots are underwater, while their stilt roots are above the water. And this is according to Evan Lawrence, who did studies on mangroves a little bit south of Miami. The actual protruding roots have pores on them. They're called mud corks, and these pores take oxygen into the plant, down into the deep roots that lie underwater. This allows the plant to be oxygenated, and then underwater on those deep mud roots, there are pores that filter out 90 to 97% of the salinity in the water. The rest of the salinity that makes its way into the plant channels off to different leaves most exposed to the sun usually. These leaves are commonly colloquially called sacrificial leaves. They turn yellow and then they fall down into the water. When they fall in the water, they decompose and they create mud. So let's say we have one plant that is extending out of the water, and these sacrificial leaves with the salt fall down into the water. They build mud as they decompose. So the mud surrounds the plant. As the plant grows, here's the way it reproduces. Red mangroves are viviparous. This means their seeds don't just fall off and spread. The seed stays on the tree. It germinates on the tree. A new plant grows from the seed hanging there. It resembles a green bean or a pod. It is actually a new plant called a propagule. When it's too heavy for the seed to support anymore, it falls and plunks into the ocean. And since the area surrounding the plant is already more shallow due to all the decomposing leaves, it's very easy for the new propagule to sprout up, sprout roots at the bottom, leaves at the top, and grow another plant. They very densely grow together in this way, are incredibly invasive. That is a good thing, however, because the more they grow, the bigger network they have to protect fish and other organisms. They also work with other organisms that only live within the mangroves to get the nutrients they need. For example, one of the most identifiable ones when you're taking people on kayak tours through the mangroves are the spotted mangrove crabs. They're about a silver dollar in size, and they also will eat up to 1/4 of the decomposed leaves, and then their feces add extra nutrients for the trees. So it's incredibly useful for those nutrients to be fed to the trees, and it's just kind of a give and take thing. Also, the roots that are underwater in the mud provide a great housing for lots of different algae and tube sponges, which are also necessary in collecting sediment. Sediment is bad for the coral reefs, which are a few miles out farther than mangroves typically grow. So seagrass, along with mangroves, collects sediment, keeping the coral reef as clean as possible. Along with also protecting the biological status of everything that we know, mangroves are beautiful. If you take a tour through a mangrove, if you find a little bit of opening, you can actually go through channels. The reason these channels exist is because the ocean pushes in and out of the mangroves about twice a day, creating naturally these channels where there's a constant current. If there's a current, those propagules that are trying to find footing in the mud will not take root. Therefore, these are completely natural channels that you can navigate at your own free will, and it is a beautiful place inside. Living in the Keys here, hurricanes are a common thing, very dangerous for us. We do not enjoy them very much, but hurricanes can be strongly, strongly deterred by mangroves. When a hurricane comes through, the mangrove's branches will sort of help as a buffer. Mangrove branches usually grow to be about 20 feet, which is what Ed and Lawrence said. They can grow up to be 80 feet, but that's a little bit rare. Also, the waves going through those really big, huge roots will be buffered, and so homes and any structures on the coastline won't be quite as destroyed. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on mangroves. It's very interesting for the people who live here, but it's also something that people around the world don't quite know about, especially if they don't live on the coast. I highly suggest that you take a trip through the mangroves if you can one day. All it takes is a kayak and a free day, and you'll have a lot of fun.